My new hero's on, George.
Oh, yes,
Charles
indeed.
Blow, baby! What's up, Charles? How you doing?
Hello, Michael. How are you?
Hey,
How
man,
are you guys?
I'm wonderful.
Good.
Great job of representing us on television, Charles, and great job of making sure the story about Trayvon stays out there and you're on top of the facts. Where are we at today after seeing that unbelievable video yesterday?
Well, first I gotta say is I'm a very big fan of the show.
Thank
and
you.
In fact, my daughter was in the car yesterday, and she heard you mention my name, and she freaked out. She said, "This is bigger than you being on TV."
No, I didn't mention your name. I blew you up.
You know, right.
I mean, I've been watching this whole thing, Charles and George and Juan. I know everybody's listening. And the video yesterday just floored me. What was your response or reaction to that, Charles?
Well, it raises tremendous questions about the police report, what is said in the police report, what we know from the police is George Zimmerman's statement, what raises questions about the statement that was given to Trayvon Martin's father as to what happened that night. It raises questions about what George Zimmerman's father said yesterday on a local Fox station about what happened in the middle of the fight, because all those accounts place George Zimmerman on the ground, his back pressed against the ground. According to Trayvon's father, the police told him that Trayvon had his knees on George Zimmerman's arm so that he couldn't move, was holding him with one arm and hitting him with the other arm. Another version of that story says that George Zimmerman, from police, says that Trayvon Martin is banging George Zimmerman's head into the concrete. Now, I don't know if maybe I'm the only person who's ever been in a fight, but if you're that far up on my body, and according to police reports, George Zimmerman is wearing his gun in a waist holster, the gun is behind Trayvon Martin. So you have to explain to all of us how George Zimmerman frees himself. And then remember, he only has a minute for all this to happen, all the words to be exchanged, because the girlfriend gets off the phone at 7:16, the cops arrive at 7:17. You have to wait. All this has to happen. He has to get on top of him. You have to somehow release your arm, get a gun that is behind the boy, pull it somehow in front of the boy, and shoot the boy in the chest.
So wait, let me get this right, Charles, because the story is confusing for all of us. He's laying on top of him. He supposedly pins this man down. The gun is behind him, so he somehow gets the gun with his arms pulled, pinned down, gets his arm free, and shoots Trayvon. The George's question is, with all these conflicting stories, why hasn't he been arrested yet? Charles, can you explain that to anybody?
Please.
I mean, I want somebody to explain it to me. I can't explain it to you because nobody's explained it to me. I mean, with all the conflicting stories, you know, the obvious thing is that not all of these stories can be true.
No.
And because we have not seen the written statement from George Zimmerman, we don't know what that is. But another question that has arisen in this is whether or not the partial police report that we have seen that was made available this week is in fact an original document.
Right.
Tell him why. Tell him why that's the case, Charles.
The reason is, according to Trayvon's parents, his attorneys, and the funeral home that handled the body, Trayvon's body was listed as a John Doe for a couple of days. That's why the body could not be retrieved.
Listen to this, George.
Taken out of
that.
However, the police report, which says it was closed the night of the shooting, which would have been 3:07, February 27th, includes Trayvon's full name, including his middle name, his date of birth, his street address, which is redacted, and his telephone number, which is redacted.
So wait a minute, Charles, I want to put this together so people understand. There's two different police reports?
Well, the one that I have seen is the partial police report that was released this week. What I'm saying is, if you have Trayvon's name, and in particular his date of birth and his address,
why did he lay in the morgue for 3 days?
There's no way you can make him a John Doe.
No, exactly.
And if you had those things the night that you say that the police report was actually closed, then why did you not contact his parents? Because there's a telephone number listed. If you have that information and you know that he was born on February 5th, 1995.
You know he's a minor.
You know he's a minor. And therefore, why does the box that say, is there a juvenile involved, say no.
No. So what do you think is going to – I mean, Charles, you know, one thing I like about you, you never speculate. You always keep it 100 in terms of your facts. What does this say to you about what's going on at that police department?
Well, I think, number one, that discrepancy is huge to me. Is this an original document? If it is not an original document, it calls into question everything that's on the document as to what may have been added or adjusted after the fact. Because here's another thing, Michael, about that document. Anybody can see this document online. If you go to the bottom of the document, it was not printed out until March 6th. That is 9 days after they say they completed it.
And that says what?
That means that there's a 9-day period in which something could have been changed on that document. So what you need to explain to me, and I think to everybody in America, is are you suggesting somehow that this is an original document? And if you are not,
where is it?
What all has been altered on this document since you say that it was closed at 3:07 in the morning on February 27th?